And for the acoustic, we use the virtual microphone system. So I decided to use the FG800 microphone model because of its inherent brightness mainly. It was perfect for bringing out the top end detail of each pick hitting the string on each strum. We then go into our virtual channel using the 4KE model once again, which is accompanied with the Hollywood virtual preamp. Since the acoustic was captured going straight into a clean condenser mic with a neutral preamp, it is important to build in some of that musical thickness you miss out on when you're working entirely in the box. As you add small amounts of saturation to each track, they will build up and have a large effect by the time it hits the mix bus. For the compression, we're using the 401, getting around 6 dB of gain reduction on the louder sections. We're using a slow attack, a fairly quick release, and a ratio of 3. And ultimately, what we're just trying to do is just get a little bit more dynamic consistency from section to section. Now let's take a listen to what we're doing with the EQ. As you can hear, the main objective was to thin out the acoustic by using the high pass up to around the 200Hz area, and we're also using that low shelf, which is further attenuating the low mids. Now in isolation, it doesn't sound that great, but as you'll hear later on, it cleans up the lows to allow the low pitched percussion and bass to exist in that area without any fighting for attention. Now for me personally, this is not how I would usually mix. Usually what I would do is I would high pass up to the rumble and I would leave the lower mids, and how I would treat the lower mids and those bass notes is with a low shelf, and I would set that in such a way that it kind of has a handshake with the second order and third order harmonics of the bass. That's how I would usually do it. But for this style, we need a well-defined low end. And this style of EQ where you just high pass up to 200Hz, it is an effective way of achieving that. Obviously, listen and make your judgments in the context of the mix. It may sound too thin in isolation, but with the bass and low pitch percussion, you'll most likely find you don't notice. Here I'm just showing you the differences of EQ of all of the stringed instruments. I won't bother going through what's happening on the virtual mix rack because it's the same as the guitar, except we didn't need a compressor to control the dynamics. On the banjo and mandolin, we're high passing up again to keep the low end tight and controlled, but this time we're actually adding some weight back into the low mids with the low shelf there. Take a listen to all of them together and hear how they're balanced. Because each of these stringed instruments have fairly different timbres, they naturally have a very good stereo spread, which leads me on to a little trick I'd like to share with you.